As much as we'd like to just set up our budgets and then forget about it, simply setting up your finances will only get you so far. In this video, we're going to talk about course correcting along the way to make sure that you stay on track for your financial independence journey. Hi, welcome back to MyFi Map, the one-stop shop for your financial independence journey. My name is Chris, and I'm here to teach you everything that you need to know about financial independence, from budgeting to investing to automating your finances and more. If that sounds like something that you'd like to learn about, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss a thing. We're in the middle of a series on the path to financial independence. Click the card to get caught up. Let's say you're taking a road trip across the country. There are going to be several types of adjustments that you make while you're driving. First, there's the small, frequent little adjustments that you make to keep yourself on the road and stay in the lane. And then there's going to be the planned stops at the milestones that you reach along your way, stopping to look at the Grand Canyon or hang out in Zion National Park. And then you have those more spontaneous diversions triggered by something that's anticipated but a little harder to plan for, like stopping for gas or getting food. Similarly, in our financial independence journeys, there are several different types of adjustments that we have to make along the way to make sure that we stay on track. Some of these course corrections are going to be small and frequent and won't seem to have much of an impact. Others of these adjustments are going to come at regular intervals or upon reaching a milestone. And still other corrections are only going to come up with certain triggers or life events. For the rest of this video, we're going to dive into each of these different types of corrections so that you can make sure that you're staying on track for your financial independence journey no matter what happens. The first category of adjustments are those minor adjustments, and we've got two types of minor adjustments that you're going to be using. The first is a weekly check-in, where you're making sure that you're still on budget and don't have any unexpected expenses. This is probably just going to take 5 to 10 minutes a week if you use something like mint.com, or a little bit longer if you're keeping track of your finances manually. When I was doing my stuff manually, I tried to keep track of everything as soon as the expense happened, but that was just me. Other times I would let receipts pile up for up to a week. Any more than a week and it gets kind of overwhelming and it's hard to keep everything straight, so don't let it go longer than that. The next set of adjustments are your monthly budget check-ins. For the end of each month, you're going to take some time to review your budget and see if any of the categories need adjusting. I prefer to do this at the end of the month, but Mint doesn't let you set budgets for the future, so I try to do this at the beginning of each month. For the first few months of your budget, you'll find that you'll spend more time with this. That's totally normal. You're adjusting to a budget and you'll find that some categories need to get bigger and others can be tightened up a little bit. After 3 to 4 months, you'll find that your monthly budget pretty much stays the same with small adjustments here and there, and that will make this process go by a lot more quickly. This monthly check-in is also when we're going to take into account holidays and birthdays and other annual or semi-annual expenses. This should take around 30 minutes if you've been keeping up with your weekly check-ins, although it might take a little bit longer depending on how much you have to change. The next category of adjustment are those planned milestones. First off, congratulations in accomplishing a milestone. That's huge and worth celebrating. We'll have more to say on that in the next video, so hit subscribe to make sure that you don't miss it. When you complete your milestone, your finances are going to shift. So now's a good time to sit down and figure out what your next steps are going to be. Maybe you just finished saving up a 1-month emergency fund, so now it's time to start attacking your debt. Now's the time where you decide which order that you're going to pay them down in and double check to make sure you know how much that you're going to be paying. Or maybe you've finished paying off your debt and it's time to figure out what the next milestone will be. Maybe you're increasing how much you're setting aside for investing, or you're expanding your emergency fund to a full 3 to 6 months. Or maybe you're starting to save up for a down payment on a house. Whatever you decide, make sure that you take some time to sit down and reorient yourself towards your next milestone. The last category of adjustments is the hardest to plan for, and those are those major life changes. This could be getting a new job, or getting a raise, or getting fired. It could be getting married, buying a new house, having a baby, or having your child go off to college, or any number of other complicated events. With all the different changes that these life situations bring on, it can be easy to forget about or ignore the financial implications of these situations. And because each of these instances carries with it its own set of nuances, it can be hard to outline what you should be doing in each of these situations. However, I've found that these 4 questions serve as a good framework to help you as you decide what you're going to do next. First, what new expenses is this situation creating? Second, how is this going to impact your income? Third, is there another person involved, and how does that change things? And fourth, how is this going to affect your next milestone? So as I was editing, I realized that the audio of the next clips were completely corrupted, which meant that the video was totally unsalvageable. So I figured I'd throw on a mic and do some quick recording so that you would still get the content, even if it's not in exactly the same format. I recently got married, which is a pretty big life change. So I thought that I would share my thought process with you as I walked through this framework. The first thing that we take into account is the expenses. I knew that my expenses were going up. My rent was going up because I was moving. My gas bill was going up because now we would have 2 cars and my commute tripled. And my food bill was going to go up because I was still eating like a broke college student. Thankfully, our income was also going up because both my wife and I work. Obviously, there's another person involved because I got married, but less obviously, we decided that we were going to merge our finances completely. This might make our finances more complicated in the short run, but in the long run, it should make things much more simple. And lastly, it was definitely changing the next milestone. My next milestone was to have $50,000 set aside in my retirement account. But since we were merging our finances together and my wife still had student loans, we were going to need to change our milestone back to paying off our debt as quickly as possible. With all of these things in mind, I knew that my wife and I needed to sit down and get on the same page with our finances. So we sat down, we brainstormed through a budget, which allowed us to determine how much we were going to spend on housing and gas and food and all sorts of other things. We also decided that we were going to pay down our debt first, but rather than trying to achieve $50,000 in retirement, we decided that we were going to focus on fully fleshing out our emergency fund and take some time to enjoy ourselves. The beginning of my outro was also corrupted, and ironically, I was going to say that the only thing in life that I can guarantee is that life is not going to go according to plan. But by planning in regular rhythms of checking in and course correcting, we're able to make sure that life and all of its surprises don't prevent us from achieving financial independence. All right, we've got one more video in this series on celebrating milestones. A lot of these videos touch on both the mindset and the money aspects of the financial independence journey. But the next video is really going to dive into the psychology of what it takes to be successful with money. Money is just a tool, and with all the discipline that it takes to be successful with money, it's so easy to become a slave to these money habits, both the good ones and the bad. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button so you can join us next time as we discuss celebrating your milestones. If you liked what I had to say, hit the like button. It really helps the algorithm and helps us spread the message of financial independence. Now that we're nearing the end of this series, I really want to know, what do you want to hear about? I've got all sorts of things planned on personal finance and investing, but I also want to make sure that I'm teaching you things that you want to learn about. So leave a comment down below and I'll see you next time.